That's an embarrassing performance on our part. Just guys not sticking to what we preach, I guess, and what our offensive mindset should be. It's just not, it's not the way we're representing very poorly this program, and to me that falls on my shoulders. So we just discussed it, just now, and that's something that I got to do a better job. Coaches got to do a better job of getting these guys to trust their preparation more and be able to execute when we have an opportunity to make some pay dirt.
What was that discussion with the team like in that post-game message?
That's for our team to know.
You mentioned the other day about being patient, taking walks isn't bad. I mean, getting 8 today. I know that's.
Yeah, well, we didn't really cash in on those 8 walks very well. First inning, they literally gave us 3 runs, spotted us. Here you go. You guys can have 3. We'll throw it to the backstop and let you guys walk around the bases, give you 3 runs. And we did our best to not let them give us 3 runs with our offensive approach. We, got a 2-0 count and roll the ball over, Punch and Judy to first, a couple of them, and we got lucky that they threw a couple balls to the backstop to give us 3 runs. Otherwise, we're walking out of a tailor-made situation to blow a game wide open out of the gates, and they gave us 3, and that's all we could muster. And that's, with this capability of our offense, that's embarrassing.
Are there any indicators of what from tonight's performance you could have expected? I don't know, practices or anything like that, or is this sort of really something that caught you off guard?
That midweek games are always tricky because of the intensity usually of the weekend series, and then having to come back and tee it up, against a midweek opponent is that's always the trap games. You got U of A coming up this weekend. I'm not saying we were overlooking, but we've tried to adjust everything we can in our practice schedule so these guys are focused for midweek games. Last year we took Mondays off. We had to take, we got to take a day off every week in today's generation. So we chose to do that last year, Monday before the midweek game, and every midweek game we came out flat. Suggested to us, why don't we practice on Monday then and take Wednesday as the off day. So that's what we've been doing, trying to keep these guys going. I know it sucks to come out after a weekend tough fought series to practice on Monday, but we felt that was better to keep these guys moving and hopefully go into Tuesday, take our off day Wednesday, practice Thursday for the weekend. Clearly that doesn't work either.
So maneuvering through the lineup tonight, not that it's like I guess you're decision at all, but would you say maybe that kind of, do you think that threw guys off at all with guys like Tobias hitting lower, Compton going up?
No, I mean, these guys got to understand it's a big boys game. If you're not producing, you're going to get dropped in the lineup. Compton's been swinging great up until today. No, he deserves to hit in that cleanup hole. He's hitting 400, and Jacob, I know he's been my 4-hole hitter for a couple years, but he's been scuffling a little bit, and he'll get it back. He'll be in there probably in the 4-hole this weekend, but from my standpoint, we can't keep throwing the same things against the wall and expecting it to work. We got to change some stuff up here a little bit, and these guys cannot get complacent, and the next step will be somebody else will get a chance to play if you're not going to get it done. So it's not, I'm not going to keep running this, I have so far, but I'm not going to keep running the same guys out there if they're not going to produce. So at some point in time, it's a big boys game. You gotta grow up.
Coach, can you talk about necessarily the pitching tonight? Obviously, Wyatt, his first career collegiate start, very well outing, and then Cole and Sean necessarily having the bumps that they did. Necessarily, just talk about that.
Wyatt threw the ball great, came out and impressed and did very well. I was happy for him. Cole, we wanted to try to get him, every situation he's come in has just been, to win or lose a game, ninth inning, and we felt it was kind of important to try to get him some lengthen out a little bit and try to work on, not that he's out there working on things, but just get him comfortable throwing some different pitches and getting a little bit more work than he has in the past, with just, one inning and then he's done. So obviously he got touched up a little bit, and that's part of the development process with him. Didn't see him giving up 3 runs, but he did, and hey, we gotta learn from it and move forward. Fitzy, that was throwing the ball good there, and then it happened real quick. I think it was a hit and a walk, and then 3-run homer. So we had confidence he could get that bottom of the lineup out, and it didn't happen.
Was there a limited stretch on Halverson tonight, regardless of how well or well not he performed?
I think it was a little foolish to go much more than 50 pitches with him not having done that before. I've said plenty of times I'm not gonna jeopardize a kid's arm health. And I think this was probably, we kind of had a target of maybe around 50 pitches for him before he start tapering off a little bit, and get him out of there with success and build on it. I mean, he did everything we asked him to do. 1 hit and over 3 innings, 6 punch outs. So heck yeah, he threw the heck out of it.
Would you chalk up tonight's offensive performance to more of a physical mechanics issue or a mental focus approach?
With what these kids are capable of doing, in my opinion, I usually go back to the mental part of it. It's not physical a lot of times with with them. Occasionally there's some mechanical tweak that we got to do, but a lot of it's between the ears and just not being ready.
Is there anything that you learned from going through a slump in your career that you're able to talk to them a little bit about the mentality of it?
Clear head and swing at strikes. I don't know how much more simpler I can make it. Be ready for the fastball and hit it in the middle of the field. That's the cure-all for any slump that anybody's ever been in. So for me, it's usually, like I said, if you don't have a clear head and you're not swinging at strikes, then there's no sense looking at mechanics, because you're screwed at that point in time if you don't have a clear head and can't hit balls that are out of the zone, but you got to be ready to hit the ones that are in the zone, which we're not doing.
We heard opening weekend about how preseason there was a lot of emphasis on being aggressive and how you would make them run if they weren't swinging at the first pitch. Is that something that you feel like the team has kind of lost their touch with the last bunch of games?
Yeah, I do. In today's world, we can't run them after the game. So otherwise, they would probably be running right now. So, we'd have to do a better job of emphasizing that in practice. And again, that's where I take my responsibility is, I guess I'm not being tough enough on them at practice.
Being 2 games under 500 at this stage, how do you put that into perspective for this group? Obviously very tough conference that you're competitive through. But in terms of obviously the wins category at this point, probably not where you wanted it to be.
No, it's not. It's not the expectations. We don't, the win-loss record, that's embarrassing. I'm not happy with that by any stretch of the imagination. I don't care who we play. I don't care if we're playing the whole schedule of top 10 teams in the country. I don't expect to be below 500. It's not what people expect around here. It's not what I expect. And if the players expect that, then they shouldn't be here. So, on the flip side of things, we got 40 games, regular season games left. It's a lot of baseball, and most of them are conference games. The meat of our season is in front of us still. So, who better than to turn this around than the team we're playing next?
With you had mentioned over the weekend that to some extent the player-to-player accountability is what is needed at this stage of the season. Who are some of those guys that, with where the team is at after a series loss and a midweek loss, that you kind of look to initiate?
At this point, I don't care who it is. It just needs to be somebody. It can't always come from me. I'm the head coach. Yes, I understand that. I can sit up there and talk softly. I can sit up there and scream and yell. I can sit up there and do whatever I want, but it's going to come a lot more powerful coming from a teammate at some point in time. And that's what I've been asking for a long time around here, is for teammates to start holding each other accountable for stuff. I can't see everything. Coaches cannot see everything that happens all the time. The players, there's enough of them to where if they're all on board with doing the same stuff and preaching the same message, then they should be able to go up to a guy and hold somebody accountable for lazy mistake, right? Can't always be me. But in the meantime, until I can get that, it's going to have to be me. So,
What are some of the barriers to that, maybe that you've noticed in the dynamic between the players and why that hasn't come so naturally?
There's 37 tremendous kids in there. Phenomenal kids. I mean, I kind of joked to myself, probably let most of you guys go on a date with my daughter, right? You guys are great kids, love you to death. But the problem is we need a little bit more edge. You know, we need a little bit more willingness to call each other out. We need a little bit more, can't say the word, but we need a little bit more toughness, meanness, I guess, when it comes to playing competitive, winning baseball. You have to have a little bit of that friction in a clubhouse for you to be any good, in my opinion. And right now we have a bunch of guys that are phenomenal kids that I think are a little bit tentative to do that with each other. And I'm trying to encourage them it's okay. You know, it doesn't mean you don't like the guy. It means that you care about the program enough to hold someone accountable. So when we start getting that, I think the tides will turn very quickly. But if we don't, you know, as I told them, we're going to be vanilla tapioca pudding, you know, and that's not good enough for around here.
You mentioned Arizona this weekend. When they came here last year, very highly emotionally charged series. In addition, now you're going on the road. What needs to happen in that Thursday practice and early Friday to get the team mentally ready to play a weekend series with your biggest rival?
You know, I think the message after today's game hopefully woke them up. So we'll see. Hopefully it does, because we're going to have to play better. You know, and I think that you got to start somewhere. And to me, maybe that starts with the sort of message that they heard today. Hopefully that gets them going.
Do you think the team can get mentally ready by Friday?
Damn well better, right? I don't want to sit up here talking about losing to U of A. Like that's not what I signed up for. I want to talk about beating them and how good it feels to beat them. So that's our goal. And much as it's cliche, we can't do anything about this New Mexico loss right now. It's over. It's in the rear view. It was ugly. We played terrible. It was embarrassing. But it is over, and the next opponent is people that we don't care for too much.
With Arizona making the tournament last year over you guys, what's that mindset kind of going into that series?
I would say that hasn't been forgotten.
In the preseason, we had talked about some leadership dynamics and certain players that you were looking toward for leadership, maybe some of the returners. Did you feel like throughout that process of going through fall ball and then going to spring, that leaders did emerge, or was there sort of still that question marks in that area that you know, are now sort of showing up in some ways?
We have a lot of leaders by example. You know, I've used Ryan Campos for 2 years now. Just leads by example. You know, work ethic off the charts. Great kid. Would never change that. But we need some more vocal leaders that aren't afraid to stand up in front of guys, whether they play or don't play. You know, to hold guys accountable on stuff. So we have enough guys in there. They're hoping if a couple of them start doing a little bit more of that, because that's, in my mind, that's what we need.
Kind of going back to the tournament question, it was mentioned by the selection committee last year that a big reason why you didn't get in over Arizona was the 2 midweek losses. Obviously, this weekend series, but will there be discussion of some sort with the guys about how one of these losses can kind of come back to haunt you down the stretch?
No, I mean, it'll just be, again, there isn't much we can, I'm sure the selection criteria will probably change this year, so you never really know what you're aiming for, but you just got to win as many games as possible. And obviously our goal is to play well. And I still don't believe margin of victory should be factored in, but apparently it was. But, bottom line is you go try and play winning baseball, and the results take care of itself. That'll be the main emphasis with these guys this weekend is go out and try and win a ball game on Friday night and do whatever we got to do to win Friday.
Do you think that energy that's going to be at High Corbett this weekend will kind of help your guys kind of get back into it and start feeling it a little bit?
Oh, I told them if you ain't going to wake up for this one, then I'd check your pulse. Like, I don't know if you're alive if you're not going to wake up and get ready to play this weekend, because this will be a fun one. The fans down in Tucson they show up down there. They're not the, try to use the right words. They're not the verbally nicest of all people at times. But that's part of the beauty of college baseball. I mean, last time we went down there and had a weekend series, man, I think we lost 2 or 3, but that was the most fun I had playing or being around a baseball series in a long time. It was intense, it was hostile. We had fans in the dugout yelling at us and profanities and everything else, but my God, that's kind of fun. I miss that. That's college baseball. That's a rivalry that's a lot older than me and you guys, right? But it's one that's fun, and it's one that's how it's supposed to be. So as much as we dislike each other, this is the series that I look forward to the most. Especially going down there and playing down there and expecting nasty things said to us and yelled at us. That's cool, man. Good. That's what college baseball is about. So
What this team needs right now, a little bit of hostility towards
maybe.
them.
Maybe. I'm kind of hopeful that this could come at a better time. Let's go down and create a stronger bond, because we'll be going to a hostile environment and, playing against a team that doesn't like us just as much as we don't like them. So maybe that's what we need.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate it.